Hello and welcome back to episode 2 of Cover to Cover, where I show you my process for creating a junk journal from the base, which we did in our first video, all the way through to decorating the pages. And in today's video I'm going to show you how to reinforce the spine and how to add the inside, cover, background. So the first thing we're going to do is I have some wallpaper pieces that I've pre-cut just for saving time on the video. I've pre-cut these to 5 1/4 by 8 1/4. So you'll remember in our first video we cut the base cardboard to 5 3/4 by 8 3/4. So we want this to be a 1/2 inch, which will give us 1/4 on each side all the way around. So you cut it a 1/2 inch smaller than the card base. So I've gone ahead and cut out 2 pieces that measure that. I also have a piece of fabric, and I'm going to put one piece on the inside, and you'll notice this piece is a little bit smaller. I usually cut it a little bit less than the length of the cover, and this is about 4 inches wide. And I have another piece that I'm going to put on the outside that's a little bit longer but the same width. So what we're going to do is basically we're going to glue this down, and it's going to cover the spine. It's going to reinforce the spine and the hinge between the cover and the spine. So let's get our glue going here. I'm using the Fabri-Tac glue, and what I like to do is glue the base and just, you know me, I'm glue happy, so I'm going to stick some glue on there. Now remember, we didn't go all the way up, so we're going to want to just kind of go up to this point right here. And I don't glue on the side yet because you're going to secure that and glue that down as we go. So kind of line it up and where you want it. So you kind of want equal amounts on each side. It doesn't have to be perfect. And that's why it's called a junk journal, right? So we're going to smooth that down. Now if you have a thinner fabric, you can probably see some of the glue coming through here, and that will dry and be just fine. So I don't worry about that. So let's go ahead, and at this point I do glue the fabric part because it's hard to measure on the side how far that's going to go over. Let's go ahead and do that. And what we're going to do there is, let me get my cord out of the way here. Sorry. I don't think that's in the way. We're going to glue this down, and what you want to do, see, as you bend this up, you're going to notice how the fabric right there is naturally going to crease. So this is where I like to bring in my knitting needle or something pointy. I do have a bone folder, and I'll use that to smooth it out further. But I like to get right in there and push the fabric down in that crease. And what that's going to do is help create a really nice firm hinge when that dries. Let's go ahead with our bone folder. Now it will be a little bit up here because you've got some bulk from the wallpaper, but that's fine. So I just smooth it out really well. It's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. So I just keep kind of smoothing it, getting rid of the excess glue as I go. So one thing about the Fabri-Tac is it does leave a little shine on there if you let it dry. So you don't want it on there. See how that's a little shiny from yesterday. So if you're not going to cover it up and you don't want that to be seen, make sure that you wipe it off. And smart people have a rag next to them, but I just use my finger and honestly wipe it on my pajamas because that's what I'm in right now. So let's just glue this up. I'm going to stick that down. This part gets a little bit tricky sometimes, like this one is actually cooperating quite well, so it doesn't always go that way, and you just kind of work it as you go. So there's your inside. I kept these on here so you can see that I had those on there overnight. Maybe 2 nights, I don't know. My life is one big day, so Alright, so over here you can see the cover here. Okay, and what we're going to do is go ahead and reinforce this section as well. So same basic idea, you're just going to put some glue, and this one's going to go all the way down. So we can go ahead and glue that all the way. And depending on the kind of wallpaper, this is a vinyl wallpaper, so it's going to want to sit, and I usually let it sit overnight if I use a vinyl, because vinyl has a hard time gluing down well if you don't let it sit and cure. So I'm going to go like this, and if your fabric hangs out at the bottom, you can just trim that off in a minute, or if you don't mind it, you can just leave it there and it doesn't look bad when your journal is like this. I usually do trim it off. So if you're going to trim it off, now would be the time to do it before you get those ends done. You'll notice it's not perfectly lined up. That's okay, because you're going to do stuff on the front and on the inside, and that's the whole idea behind a junk journal. Is it doesn't have to be perfect. So we're going to go ahead and leave that. I'm sure there's some who are watching this and going, oh my goodness, it's not straight and it's not there, but you know what, it's okay. Alright, so we're just going to come over here, and we're going to glue once again that fabric, not the wallpaper, because you want to be able to measure how far that glue is going out onto the wallpaper. And I probably should have ironed this, but I don't like to iron. I'm just keeping it real. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and smooth that down. Smooth it out. Just kind of play with it till you get it where you want it. Make sure it bends nice and isn't buckled up anywhere. And we're going to pull this side back and do the same thing. Glue, glue. So I hope you guys are enjoying these videos, and please leave me comments if you have any questions. I'm happy to help. Sometimes it's hard to know what to talk about. So there we have that, and the inside cover. Everything's looking good and smoothed out, so we're going to leave that. Then we're going to take our pieces that we already cut and just glue those up. Like I said, I'm very generous with glue because I want it to stay for a long time. So there is a trick to getting the glue to come out and be somewhat smooth. I have seen some people that even brush it on there, but I can't brush fast enough to keep it from drying. So I just kind of do this and then really push it down to get it onto the surface. We're going to go ahead, get our glue done. And I just eyeball everything. I don't measure. And you just want it to be framed around there. Like this. You have a little bit of time to move it around. Then this is where your bone folder comes in handy. If you don't have a bone folder, you can use a butter knife. Just use the back side. I used that for a long time. So my friend gifted me one of these. Okay, let's go ahead and glue the other side. So I hope you guys will continue to watch these videos as I create a journal, and we'll do something fun at the end. Do a little flip through of everything that we created together, and I look forward to that. But you have to start at the beginning. And I've only been making journals for a couple of years, but I did watch a lot of videos before I started, and then I made a single signature cardstock just to practice, and then my next step was a multiple signature sewn in. So I would suggest, if you have never made a journal, to just do the same process, but just do it with a cardstock and one signature or one section of pages, which is what a signature is. So all right, there we go. There's your cover. Inside, and just make sure you have everything down. I'll go ahead and see, I've got a little glue there, so you want to get that glue off before it sticks down. And then I'll go ahead and use my clamps, go around this whole thing and leave it overnight. And we'll be back for section 3, which will be putting in the signatures. So gathering the papers, putting them together, and then going ahead and sewing them into the signature. So I hope you join me. If you haven't already hit the notification bell, please do, so you know when my videos upload. And thank you so much for your support and for your interest in what I do, and I'll see you in the next video.